Seeking the wise.
With Aaron and Alexander discussing the Just philosophy.
Covering self-development, emotional processing, conscious relationships, and 5 levels of overall wellness. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Wise podcast. Alexander here. And today we are getting into episode 19. It goes way back into archives around the subject of unconditional love and separating that from emotional love and what is the difference between those two. And this was in the beginning, probably first couple of years of us offering the podcast, probably year 2. And a lot of things have changed since then. But the teachings are pretty similar. And I'm looking forward to Aaron's episode and what he has, learned over these probably 4 or 5 years. And I'm going to be sharing just more expansion on my view of it, the teachings from the Just philosophy. And so please reach out with any questions that you may have. Let us know how you're resonating with the information. We always love to hear from you. So, unconditional love. From a background of being a sound therapist, as I said in the episode, this frequency has been measured of unconditional love at 528 hertz. And again, it was very confusing for me coming from a musician background and a sound therapist background, that the heart chakra is normally to the note F, but 528 hertz is the note C sharp. And so this began my journey to understand the separation between emotional love and unconditional love. And I like to give examples based off of conditional love, or love around the heart chakra, is just that. Most of the times it does have conditions, does have limits, parameters, and preferences involved. And see, comparing that or relating it to unconditional love is the lack of attachment, the lack of conditions. This is how I would like for people to strive to experience unconditional love first and foremost with themselves, to get rid of the judgment. I know that we, as human beings, we analyze ourselves, and I like to suggest that action or different actions can take us from judging ourselves. But see, when we know something on one level, as we talk about constantly in this philosophy, in this podcast, the 5 different levels of the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, the energetic, and the physical, that you can carry a certain vibration on one of those levels, but that doesn't mean that it's equating on all the other levels. So many times people will say that they love somebody unconditionally, but then something happens in their life and maybe some judgment comes up, and that takes a person right to their preferences and many times can create resistance. And these are the things that most people base their love off of, is what they're getting in return. And I want to reiterate a saying that came to me many, many years ago of, you may not want to call it love if you're looking for something in return. And this is talking about that unconditional love, different from the heart chakra. And this is where people's hearts get broken, when people break their promises or give judgments. And there's a lot of pain through the human race in this area. This is the lungs, where the heart's located, carries the grief issues. And so many times, whether it's through death or breakup or separation, like I said, judgment, they can create a lot of energetic imbalances in this heart chakra. But that's very different from unconditional love in the measurement of that frequency at 528 hertz. That is the note again, C sharp. The heart love is the note F. And C sharp would be between the root chakra and that second chakra. And so this began my journey to really separate these two and to realize that the root chakra carries our safety, security, financial issues. And I began to see that you really need to be in a very good place in all three of those areas to carry and practice this unconditional love, because most fear comes from a safety, a security, or a financial issue, either of ourselves or someone else. So when those of you out there that are seeking to experience this unconditional love, really work to focus on those lower two chakras. And this, I just gave the kind of definition or the aspects of the root chakra, and the aspects of the second chakra, again, as a reminder, is sexual energy, creative energy, and the emotion worry. So see, it starts to make logical sense that if you're carrying worry, it's going to be very challenging to feel safe and secure and not have any financial concerns, to be in this place of non-judgment. So what are the benefits of this unconditional love? Well, as I mentioned earlier, how we judge ourselves is one of the biggest areas of this. And I happen to feel that when we can practice even with that higher power of being in love, no matter what life is presenting to us. And again, this is an opportunity to work on our preferences and acceptance. And again, reiterating here that acceptance does not mean approving of or condoning of. Acceptance means I'm not going to resist this issue. When we're in resistance, see, we're draining our energy. This is why acceptance is so important. And this concept of unconditional love to really be seen through the view of freedom. And if you truly unconditionally love someone, whether they're doing something that is your preference or not, it doesn't shift the way that you feel about them. And in the episode, I got into separating feelings and emotions. And again, here I'll reiterate that I want everyone to consider that potentially the only feeling is this love that I described that can't be explained with words. There's been so many songs and poetry and art created around love, but most of that is conditional and attachment love located in that heart chakra. When you're really in that space of love, there's no words that come to describe it. I've experienced this mostly on someone's deathbed, and just wanting them to know how much I love them. And it doesn't take words. There's an energetic transference that happens. And this is very different from verbally expressing how we feel about someone. And that's normally after receiving something, some type of condition that we approve of or that we prefer. That's when a lot of people show this emotional love. So getting back to the possibility of love being the only feeling, and then every other experience that we have, just consider that it's an emotion. And if we accept that emotions are Maya or illusion, and we're not seeing things clearly, then see, we can work towards not making decisions in that emotional state. Well, I've had people ask me, well, how do you shift from that conditional love to unconditional? Here we're going to bring in the pillars of the just philosophy. And the very first one is everything's in divine order, whether I understand it or not. The second one is polarity versus duality, which equates to opposites have to exist on this plane. The third one is everyone and every situation can be my teacher. But see, you've got to be willing to be the student in every situation in your life. Then the fourth one is emotional responsibility, and accountability. That again, no one can make you sad. No one can make you mad. These are choices that we choose. And I want you to feel empowered with that, to realize that how you respond, ideally, or react, typically, is a choice. Now, many of us have been trained from our parents, from our family lineage, these reactions. And that's part of self-development, is breaking family lineage, getting away from reacting the way that people around you did when you were growing up. And then the fifth one is everything is vibration. So see, if you catch yourself judging someone or judging yourself, see, right away realize that that's conditioned. That's conditional. And if you're able to go sit in stillness somewhere and contemplate one or all five of these pillars, and you remember that even though I'm not getting my preference at this moment, there is a divine order to things. Or I can't get my preference all the time because opposites have to exist. So whatever my preference is, the opposite has to exist on this plane. To go into, how is this being my teacher? It's being my teacher, utilizing the third principle or pillar. It's being my teacher to show that when I carry preference, it activates my emotions, which clouds my view of how I'm seeing this situation. Then you can go to accountability. These emotions that I'm feeling right now are my responsibility to transmute. And that takes us to everything's vibration. What kind of vibration do you want to be carrying? Because that's part of what you attract into your life. It's part of how you resonate with others when you get around them. The subtle energy field is constantly communicating, or our aura around us, the bubble aura that's been proven by Western science once again. So see, you shift from this conditional love to the unconditional love through utilizing the pillars and bringing your preferences back to center. Now, one example that I like to share with people where this is exemplified mostly, the unconditional love, is in mothers with their children. And see, love is developed over time. It doesn't just happen. Attraction happens, but love is developed. And even with a mother and a child, see, remember that they were together typically for 7 to 9 months, 8 months, sometimes a little bit longer, before they get introduced to each other in the physical world. So see, that love and that caring is being developed. So for a lot of mothers, there's just nothing that their child can do that will hinder that love that they carry. Now, sometimes people carry both of these and they operate out of them different amounts. So see, a loving mother, an optimal mother, can love their child unconditional and is always going to be there for them. But they can be very vocal about their preferences. So see, they can even get upset, be frustrated with their child, whether they are a child or whether they're an adult. But at the end of the day, they haven't lost any love for that child. And I've had experiences of experiencing this with other beings and being able to hold it for different lengths of time. And it's one of the most enjoyable experiences to have with another human being, in my experience, that of just being together where neither one has an agenda. Both are practicing non-preference, and you're just exercising the joy within yourself. And you're sharing that with somebody that's exercising their joy within themselves. So this is the optimal unconditional love view, is that you don't find someone to love. You find someone to share your love with. And see, if two people get together and both parties really love and respect themselves and manage this judgment, manage the criticism to a minimum, and are always looking to build themselves, if two of those people meet, then see, they're not reliant on each other for that love. They're sharing the love that they nurture, protect, and develop constantly. Now, there are many things in life, everyday life, that try to pull us out of that unconditional love and put us back in the conditional love. So, this is where people may have panic attacks or heart arrhythmias or tightness in their chest. Many times that's connected to the emotion frustration. And I went through a 7-year healing cycle working with and streamlining frustration within my field because I had excruciating chest pains and heart arrhythmias. And so, see, that conditional love creates these opportunities for us to have all these preferences to get in and activate those negative emotions. And then when we do that, any decisions or communications that we have with another human being is coming through those frequencies, through those emotional goggles, so to say. So this is why we are emotional beings. We were designed to be emotional, but we were designed to process these emotions that our culture didn't nurture and teach us very well how to do. But hey, now's the opportunity for you to work on this yourself, to develop this yourself, and to be able to share with others. So again, there's no blame, there's no lacking. When you're ready, you start working at these deeper levels. And again, I want to suggest that this starts with the self. We can only love someone externally to the level that we love ourselves. And many times people are trying to nurture their love through someone else or through a certain type of situation. And so bringing this back around to, this isn't a judgment that emotional love and heart chakra love is something negative. It just has a cost. And the more preferences you have, the more cost you're going to pay. So this is why working on acceptance of the self and others and situations can help us to even be faced with a challenge, a major challenge in our life, and still be able to remain in a love vibration. Because even though we're not getting our preference, remember, everything's in divine order, or polarities have to exist, or I'm resisting this, so there's something to learn, or I notice that I have a preference here, and that preference is creating these negative emotions, and that's my responsibility to manage before I re-engage with someone. Or for the fifth pillar, to bring it in once again, is this the vibration that I want to be carrying? Is this the vibration that I want to be projecting? And see, anytime we're in those negative emotions, it's more than just a thought. It is an energetic vibration that we're putting off. So hopefully these are all incentives of why and how to shift. And what's the benefit of shifting from conditional love to unconditional love? And this is a challenge for most people. So again, start with yourself and start with the practice of every time you judge yourself or don't feel like you did good enough at something, then simply look where you can practice it. Look for a way to get better at it and implement that in your daily practices. Once again, we suggest here to Practice all 5 of the levels daily. This is a morning routine that I enjoy very much, and we work on physical exercise through calisthenics. We work on energetic exercise through vocal toning with crystal bowls or a tuner, going through all the chakras. We work on the spiritual by showing gratitude out loud, verbally, being grateful. And again, spirituality and the just philosophy is about gratitude, trust, faith, and non-judgment. So in the spiritual practice, you can actually practice bringing up something or someone that you judged and then choosing to see that differently. Okay. The mental practice, we do meditation to sit in stillness and quietness. Now, here again, I typically bring meditation and contemplation in together. I like to separate that meditation is avoid or getting to non thought. Contemplation is considering certain things or certain options of things. Both are very, very useful, but many people get these two very confused. So I'd like for you to suggest for you to take time to practice both. Maybe, back to back, that you just do maybe 5 minutes to attempt to leave your brain completely in the void or non thinking, and then possibly do contemplation to where you have a certain subject or person and you contemplate on different options. And maybe those need to be reversed and do the contemplation first and then the meditation. But one of the main things in touching with this latest episode, of course, you can go back and listen to episode 19 to get the full discussion with Aaron and myself. But one of the main points that I wanted to get across today was the importance of that self-love and that unconditional love for the self and or a higher power. And to practice that, due to the laws of polarity, once again, we're not always going to succeed at something. And we need to learn to be patient and kind with ourselves. But what comes hand in hand in that is actual application for change. So see, this is where I get into, I'm not a big fan of apologies like the words "I'm sorry" or even "I apologize for that." I like hearing, this is what I recognize that I did that wasn't up. This is what I see that needs to change. And these are the practices that I'm going to put in place on a daily basis to support this change. See, if somebody comes to me and they want to say I'm sorry about something that they did or said, I would rather hear those 3 statements. There's a whole lot more likelihood for them to get different results if they're looking and focusing and setting an intention on those 3 statements rather than feeling sorry or feeling like they, made a mistake. If they want to make it so-called right, then you do it in action over long periods of time. Again, gradual changes over long periods of time can equal lasting results. See, however old you are, you've been practicing this judgment for that many years. And to really get into practicing non-judgment or moving toward unconditional love, you need to consider practicing that for half as long as you've been practicing the other. So hypothetically, if you're 20 years old, you want to consider 10 years of practicing this new way. Okay, so you're 60 years old, and that says 30. And somebody might say, well, I might not even last that long to 90. See, why even bring that thought in? It becomes a lifestyle rather than just a discipline. But the lifestyle becomes a lifestyle through structure, discipline, and consistency of effort. And if you do those 3 things long enough, it becomes a lifestyle for you rather than an effort, constant effort. But I do like to suggest to pay attention to 3 weeks time span, and then 3 months, and then 3 years, and look at those time spans because these are the accumulation of time to where patterns are made or broken. And so now in review, focusing on that root and second chakra, really asking yourself, where are the areas where I don't feel completely safe and secure or financially stable? And see, I've worked with many people that have a lot of money in the bank, but see, they've been trained to worry about the amount of money that they have in the bank. So it never matters how much they have. They're always going to be worried about finances. Some people in this day and time have homes and automobiles that are way beyond their parents or certainly their grandparents. We have so many more amenities now, but people don't seem to be more safe or feel more secure. They can feel even less safe and secure than people from 50, 100, even 200 years ago. Because one thing about times of the past, people were more forced to live in the moment because their survival was more about what they were planting or how the livestock was doing, things like that. And so they had to just be in the day-to-day grind. Now our grind is much different. It's not as much around survival as it is security. And those that chase security, I don't know that they will ever find it. Security and safety, trust, faith, the aspects of that spiritual level from the just philosophy's view typically can only be practiced when there's a challenge. So, see, it's easy to have trust and to have faith when everything is going to your preference. But the practice is in when things aren't going in the direction of your preference, that you're able to hold on to that trust and you're able to speak in a way that has a faith in the verbiage that comes across energetically, that sometimes we don't know the answer or we don't know how we're going to get from point A to point B. But if we relax and we trust and we're open to input, we're open to using our energetic level to listen to people's opinions, but pay attention to how it feels to you, not just how it sounds or makes sense. See, many people make their decisions based off of logic only. And I like to suggest to go to that other brain in the gut. Pay attention to the conversation that you're having, whether your abdomen is tight, many times that means resistance, or it's loose. And there's been many times where logically I agreed, but my second brain, my gut, did not agree. And I wanted to learn to follow my gut over my mind. I've proven over 26 years of practicing that I can't find a time when my gut was wrong, but I can find a time where my preference and the mental level, the logic led me astray. Because see, logic is built on many times either trusting what people say or trusting something that you've studied and learned and holding on to that. There's a rigidness in that. And the faith and the trust is you're always looking to adapt. I'm going to mention one of my favorite sayings again here, and it's not mine, but I love it, that it's not the strongest that will survive. It's not the smartest that will survive. It's the one that can adapt. That adaptability is what provides the highway for us to reach those unconditional love goals that we have. So in wrapping up here, I really hope that this expands your understanding of the episode 19 and around unconditional love. Of course, listen to Aaron's take and how he's going to talk about his experiences of this. I've experienced, sharing here with you a little bit more expansion than we were than we put into the episode originally. So again, we thank you so much. We appreciate any way that you contribute to us, whether that's monetarily or sharing this information with a friend. It means so much to us for other people to promote our podcast and to share it with others as truly a philosophy, which is a way of life as opposed to a belief system. And we thank all you long-term listeners for your dedication, and all you new listeners, welcome. We're so thankful to have you. And we look forward to connecting again in our next episode. So until then, much love.
Thank you for listening to this free version of the Wise podcast. To hear the complete conversation and go deeper into the application of the tools and techniques of the Just Philosophy, head on over to wisewisepodcast.com and become a premium member. You'll get to hear all of our complete conversations, including the complete episodes of our Inward Journey story series and our entire back catalog, and continue your self-development journey with us. We honor your dedication to self-growth, overall wellness, and continuing to ask the wise whys.
And remember, gradual changes over long periods of time equals lasting results.
Continue on your self-growth journey by visiting thejustphilosophy.com, where you are able to connect personally by booking a private consultation with Alexander in person, by phone, or Zoom. Uncover your authentic self more easily with a human design or destiny card consultation. Here you will gain information about your energetic makeup, personality, and your higher self, as well as navigating your way through your relationships. There are also multiple types of reports available for purchase that help you gain insight into your career, relationships, and opportunities for self-growth. The site also allows you to view a calendar of Alexander's live performances and class schedule, peruse other products such as shirts, CDs, and finally, the revolutionary VibroTune vibrational sound therapy tables. These contoured therapy tables allow you to bathe in a vibrational sonic bath of frequencies, bringing you into alignment on all levels. You will be feeling and hearing calming music synced through vibration and frequency. So again, you can grab all this goodness at thejustphilosophy.com, thejustphilosophy.com. The Just Philosophy, as discussed in this podcast, has been developed by Alexander over the last 25 years in his personal studies, private practice, and professional environment. The information discussed is intended for educational purposes only and is not meant as a replacement for conventional medicine. Just remember, knowledge plus experience equals wisdom. Seek the wise. We want to thank you for working on you. Keep shining your light and refining your vibe.